Hi everyone, so welcome to one more session of Fantastic 5 MCQs. Myself Dr. Bharat, your pharma faculty. This is for your upcoming NEET PG or FMG. Let us start with the first question. Tetracycline acts by option A, inhibiting cell wall synthesis, damaging cell membrane, inhibiting DNA gyrase, inhibiting protein synthesis. So in your exams, they keep on asking the mechanisms of action of antimicrobials. So try to answer this. If you're telling option D, inhibiting inhibiting protein synthesis, then you are right. So what is the purpose of this MCQ? Is to understand the mechanism of antimicrobials, the antibacterials mainly. The drugs which act on mainly cell wall, two important drugs are tested. Number one, beta-lactams. Beta-lactams means we have penicillins, cephalosporins, monobactam, carbapenems, and glycopeptide like vancomycin. Beta-lactams inhibit an enzyme called transpeptidase, very important, tested frequently. And vancomycin inhibits transglycosylase. So these are important because they target cell wall. Coming to cell membrane, the drugs which act on that are polymyxins. We have polymyxin B, polymyxin E. Polymyxin E is also called as colistin. And one more drug, daptomycin. Moving on to protein synthesis inhibitors, we have the drugs which bind to 30S and which bind to 50S. So 30S we have the mnemonic TEAM. The TEAM means T for tetracycline, AM for aminoglycoside. 50S we have the MCQ drugs. M macrolide like azithromycin, erythromycin, C for clindamycin, Q for quinoprestin, dalfaprestin, which are known as streptogramins. Then we have L for linezolid, and the old drug is okay. So let me resume. The old drug is the chloramphenicol. So let me repeat the drugs inhibiting protein synthesis. Those who bind to 30S, tetracycline, remember it inhibits tetracycline tRNA attachment. Aminoglycoside inhibit initiation, misreading of mRNA and inhibit polysome formation. Now MCQ drugs, they block translocation step. Chloramphenicol sounds like Fevicol, it inhibits peptide bond formation. Linezolid inhibits protein synthesis. And can you tell me DNA gyrase or topoisomerase 4 inhibitor? They are called as fluoroquinolones and end with floxacin, like ciprofloxacin, like that. Folic acid synthase inhibitor, they are nothing but our sulfonamides. Then an anti-leprotic drug dapsone, an anti-TB drug like para-aminosalicylate. Dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor, we have the PMT drugs. P for proguanil and pyrimethamine drugs. And T for trimethoprim. What is M? You should tell me. M is an anti-cancer drug which inhibit dihydrofolate reductase. So comment in the comment section. So what did we understand from this? We understood the mechanism of action of antibacterial drugs. And also tell me what is the mechanism of the anti-TB drug rifampicin. What does it inhibit? Tell me that. Moving on to the next question. Drug increasing longevity in CHF patients. Now in chronic CHF, if you are not treating the patient, the heart will fail and it will go for permanent heart failure, and then you have to give heart replacement. That is not possible, heart transplant. So we have to decrease the disease progression. The chronic CHF should not progress. So what happens if the disease decreases, progression decreases, patient will not die. The mortality decreases. Now, if the mortality decreases, the patient will live longer. That is called longevity. So, which drugs will decrease the disease progression in chronic CHF? That can be the question. Decreasing mortality in CHF, increase longevity in CHF, all are same. The mnemonic is SUB. What is SUB? S stands for a diuretic called spironolactone, and one more lactone is similar to spironolactone is eplerenone. Now recently we have SGLT2 inhibitor which are beneficial in chronic CHF. This is being tested. They end with gliflozin, empagliflozin, dapagliflozin, canagliflozin. A for AC inhibitor, ARB, and then R9. Now tell me what is R9 and what are the drugs in R9? Tell me that. And B for beta blockers. So remember, these three category of drugs are used to decrease mortality in chronic CHF or increase longevity in chronic CHF. In case of Africo-Americans, in case of Africo-American patients, the decrease in mortality is seen with a combination of hydralazine plus isosorbate dinitrate. So these are the various options available. So with that background, tell me which drug increases longevity. Digoxin is used in chronic CHF, but it will not decrease the mortality. Thiazides are not so much helpful in chronic CHF. Sartan belongs to ARBs. Yes, ARBs can be helpful in chronic CHF. Nitroprusside is used in acute CHF and it is not going to decrease the mortality. So the answer will be C, telmisartan. Remember the mnemonic SUB. Moving on to the next question. A drug is used in depression which acts by inhibiting both serotonin and norepinephrine reuptake. What the drug is? They are asking what is the drug SNRI here. Escitalopram, anything having citalopram, it is an SSRI. Anything having oxetin, it is also SSRI. Let me give an example. Fluoxetine, fluoxamine, paroxetine. So let me give the list of SSRI for you. Escitalopram, fluoxetine, fluoxamine, sertraline, paroxetine, dapagliflozin. Now tell me what sexual problem dapagliflozin is approved for. Tell me, if we use paroxetine in pregnant women, what is the problem? You have to answer me in the comment section. Now bupropion is a atypical antipsychotic. It is called NDRI, which is used for depression and smoking cessation. Then what is remaining is venlafaxine. Venlafaxine is a SNRI. What are the other SNRI we have? We have milnacipran. And then we have duloxetine. Remember, SNRI are three. Number one, venlafaxine, milnacipran, duloxetine. And duloxetine, apart from depression, it is also used to manage a problem called stress urinary incontinence. For stress urinary incontinence, the treatment is surgery, but until that, you can give this. So I asked you a question. If we use it in pregnant women, paroxetine, it can cause cardiac defects in fetus. Now, what is sexual problem dapagliflozin is used? It is used to manage premature ejaculation. It is used to treat premature ejaculation problem because SSRI delay ejaculation, so we are taking advantage. So the answer for this question is D, venlafaxine. Moving on to the next question. 36-year-old male patient complains of profuse rhinorrhea, running nose and sneezing. He wants to be active and not drowsy during his day activities. So profuse urea, sneezing, maybe will go for rhinitis, and it can be allergic or non-allergic. So let us consider patient is having rhinitis and patient wants to be active, not drowsy. Which among the following drug would you prescribe? See, remember, when there is rhinitis, what comes to the mind is we prefer antihistamines. So they are asking which antihistamine will you prescribe? Phenyramine, promethazine, dimenhydrinate, cetirizine. So try to answer this question. Yes, if you're telling cetirizine, then you are right. Remember, phenyramine, promethazine, dimenhydrinate, they are all antihistamine, but they are first generation antihistamine. They can cross blood-brain barrier. Now what happens if they cross? They block histamine in the brain. And what happens if you block histamine in the brain? It will lead to sedation and drowsiness. So that's why this is not prescribed. Cetirizine belongs to second generation antihistamine, which will not cross blood-brain barrier. It will not block histamine, so no sedation. So we'll prescribe cetirizine in this patient. Okay, this is the answer for this question, D, cetirizine. Now what you have to answer me here is, which antihistamine have been banned because they caused QT prolongation? Which antihistamines are banned because they caused QT prolongation? Tell me in the comment section. Coming to the last question, the following statements are false regarding phase 1 trial. So you have to find out the false statements. Now phase 1 trial is done to test mainly safety. Yes, it's a true statement. Now what we do in phase 1 trial, we take human healthy volunteers. Why we take human healthy volunteers? Because we don't know what is the problem with the drug. It can cause adverse effect, patient may die also. Then who can tolerate better? Healthy volunteers. So the main aim of phase 1 trial is to check whether the drug is safety. Suppose I found out the drug is safe, then I will check how much dose is safe. That is called maximum tolerated dose. Then if it is found out, then I will also check for pharmacokinetics. But here, since we are taking healthy people, efficacy cannot be tested. And we don't get so many people for phase 1 trial because nobody wants to risk their life. So we take 10 to 100 or less than that also. So with that background, let us answer this question. Phase 1 trial is mainly test safety, true. Maximum tolerated dose is determined, true. 10 to 100 patients are involved, false. Patients are not involved in phase 1 trial, very rarely be involved. Suppose that is the only drug available and patient is going to die. For example, terminally ill HIV patient, cancer patient be involved. Otherwise, they are not involved. Also called as microdosing trial, that is also false. Now, microdosing trial, where we use minor doses, 1 in 100th dose or less than 100 microgram of the dose, we use, and that is done in phase 0 trial. So the aim of phase 0 trial is to check pharmacokinetics. Many a times we may not do this phase 0 trial, but it can be asked in the exam. Phase 2 trial is mainly to check pharmacokinetic, how the drug is absorbed, distributed, metabolized and excreted, and we use 1 in 100 dose which is used in animals, and we use less than 100 microgram here. So that is also false. So coming to the answer, they are telling us to find out a false statement. Both C and D both are false statements. Now at the end of this discussion, you have to tell me which phase of the clinical trial there is maximum drug failure, and which phase of the trial we find out dose ranging, and tell me which phase of the clinical trial is also called as post-marketing surveillance. 3 questions for you. Which phase there is maximum drug failure, which phase we found out dose ranging, and which is also called as post-marketing surveillance. Please answer this. So with that, we are done with this session of Fantastic 5 MCQs. And any doubt, any queries, you can put in the comment section. If you like this, so push the like button, subscribe and share to your friends. Thank you all. Happy learning. Thank you.